Hey, welcome to Nature Connected Life. I'm doing a disaster preparedness series, and this video is all going to be about how to prepare your house if you are bugging in. So in order to answer this, we're going to start with three questions. We've got what, we've got where, and when, and we've got who. Okay, starting off with what. Well, first of all, you need to decide, is bugging in even the right choice? Okay? We have a whole nother post and a whole nother video on this, but in a general sense, you don't want to bug in if there's an immediate danger to your location, right? So you need to think about that. Depends, right? You got tornadoes, thunderstorms, flooding, ice storms, severe temps, infectious diseases. Like, those are all things that you may consider bugging in from. Tornadoes, depending on if it's hitting your house, thunderstorms and power going out. Tornadoes could cause the power to go out. Anything that may damage the local area but it isn't damaging your house, you may need to stay inside, or businesses or roads may not be open to travel in order to get other places to get supplies. So again, tornadoes, thunderstorms, flooding, ice storms, severe temps, infectious diseases. I added in infectious diseases because it is December 2019 when I'm recording this. If you're not aware, there is a very severe outbreak in American Samoa of, I believe it's measles. Anyways, it's been going on since September, and they've asked everyone to stop going outside. All school has been canceled. None of the shops are functioning because people don't want to go outside. So it can happen. It can definitely happen. So, you know, think about something like that, right? The next question, sub-question of what is, then if you've decided you're going to bug in, then what is the timeline that could be happening in? So in general, I think from the things that I listed, you're looking, depending whether you are in an urban situation or a rural situation, you're looking anywhere from 1 to 21 days. So 1 day to 3 weeks. "21 days would obviously be on the pretty severe side of things. I don't think that's going to happen all that often. I think you see that in more extreme circumstances when you're more remote. I think our friends in the north up in Canada may be more familiar with that than we are with some of their ice storms and having road closures for quite a while until crews are able to get out and either clear those roads from trees, fallen trees, or just the snow and ice. Most events, I think you're going to find somewhere between 24 to 48 hours, and so that's all you need to be prepared for. Now, when you start thinking about where you are and what the event is, you may need to prepare for longer than that, depending on what you think is realistic for your scenario. Let's go ahead and dive into where and when. So the first thing to consider, now that you know or think you know what your risks are, so what are if you're going to bug in, what are other risks near you? And what I mean when I say that is things like power plants or chemical plants, dams, railroads, forests. You could get forest fires, rivers and lakes could flood. Power plants and chemical plants, I say those because if you have an earthquake or other flooding or other damage, if those release chemicals or are unstable, you see this, we've seen this a number of times, and it wasn't even natural disasters over in, I think it was East Texas, outside of Houston. they've had chemical plants blowing up. And that's under normal circumstances. So you add in some natural disasters, and you could have some bad stuff happening there. Dams obviously could fail. That's probably less likely, although we do have aging infrastructure here in the U.S. I think the bigger concern with dams is that if there is flooding upstream, in order to prevent damage to the dam, they may have to release water faster than normal, and that may actually cause flooding downstream from the dam. So if you live downstream from a dam, you need to be aware of that. Railroads, I mentioned railroads. If you have railroads anywhere near you, I think this is something a lot of people probably miss. There is a serious risk that a derailed train for any reason could dump toxic chemicals. In the post on the website for all of these things, you can find references for times this has actually happened. I don't want to seem like some conspiracy guy or whatever. This is real stuff. This, it's not end of the world stuff, but it's stuff you should take into consideration. Okay, so other risks near you. You need to look, you need to know what's around in your area, you need to know whether you may be at risk from those things if they are damaged in any way. And then the other sub-question in here is basically what is the weather? And what time of year is it? Because someone in Texas in December has very different concerns from someone in northern Michigan in December. Someone in Texas in August, when it is 110 degrees, has very different concerns than the person in northern Michigan in August, when it's a beautiful 75 or 80 degrees. I don't know how hot it gets up there, but it's just very different concerns. So you need to think through what are the supplies that you need for that. In Texas, I'm more concerned with staying cool quite a bit of the year. It's very dangerous to get too hot in a house. You're under the sun here in Texas. The interior could get much warmer than the exterior. It's a common thing to happen here. So consider that. I think most people are already aware of this. You're probably already thinking along those lines. But in order to answer the question of what you need to do to be prepared to bug in, got to answer that one. The final question is who? And this one has a few sub-questions. We've got lives with, we've got neighbors, and we've got likely to show up. Okay, should be pretty straightforward for you. Who lives in your house? This should also include the people who may not normally be there but could potentially be there. So that's college students who may be home for summer, winter break, that kind of thing. Should include any children in split custody. Should include pets. Don't forget your pets, your furry friends. You'll definitely want to have some extra stuff around for them. Hopefully you already are storing more than a couple days of food at a time, and they're going to, of course, be able to drink even more water sources than we are, so that's not that hard to prep for. How about your neighbors? So where do you live? Do you live in close proximity to your neighbors? Are they likely to show up? Are they the prep type? Do you live in a townhome? Do you live in an apartment? How about that old lady downstairs who is on oxygen? Do you know how to help her change a tank or any other emergency action she may need? How about the neighbor next door whose kid is diabetic? If there's an emergency situation and that child starts to crash, do you have any knowledge of how to respond to that? So think about your neighbors. This may not necessarily be physical preps, but it may be educational ones. A simple Google search in 5 minutes could tell you what you need to know in order to help someone in a medical situation. So think through that. And then this last one, likely to show up. So Do you have other family in the area? Are you likely going to be the gathering point? Are you seen as a leader or responsible, or do they know that you have a prepared mindset and have some extra canned food around, right? Who is likely to show up? That's family, friends, other members of the community. And I don't want you to think about this just in the aspect of long-term prepping, like all that, end of the world stuff, right? If you're in a town and the other side of town gets destroyed and you have friends or family over there, they very well likely could lose their shelter and need somewhere to stay. Have you considered what it would be like to have them staying in your living room, in your extra bedroom if you have one? You need to think through that and say, am I able and willing to take other people from the community, whether I know them or not? Are you willing to take them into your house and help shelter them during a time of need? You likely care very much for a lot of people who don't live with you. And if they show up at your door or give you a call, you're going to want to be able to help. So consider this when you're looking at your preps. Okay, we've answered our major questions here. What, where and when, and who. Now that we've answered those questions, we know what may be likely to happen, where we live, and who may be showing up. We can sort of get a tally of how much of any given supply we will need. Now, I'm not going to go through a full list of supplies here. There's a ton of them out there. If you want my list, it is on our website, natureconnected.life. You can just go there, type in how to prepare my house, how to prepare my home. It's going to come up, and at the bottom of that post, we will have a full list. And I basically break it down just to give you a high-level overview into a few categories. So we've got, in order, high-level order. It's not necessarily that you'll fill out every one of these categories first, and you do need things in each category. They are marked as required on the website. So here are the general categories in priority order. You have medical, you have shelter, you have water, you have hygiene, after that, you've got food, you've got protection, you've got communication, and just some general items that don't necessarily fit into any of these other categories. Interspersed throughout these, you're going to have different requirements. You need to think about who you have, right? If you have people with extra needs, that's elderly or people on prescription meds, anyone with serious medical conditions, babies. I'm not the expert on babies. I don't have any children myself. I do link in the post a very good article written by someone who does have kids and is an expert on that subject. If you have that, you need to go research that topic independently of this, because you need to care for your kids. Obviously, you love your kids and you want to take care of them. I don't have the expertise. I'm not going to pretend to. I'm not just going to regurgitate what someone else has said and put online. I think it's better if you get the information directly from them. So all in all, I hope that this is helpful to you as you think about how to prepare for that scenario of 24 to 48 hours primarily, and focus on that to start, and then you can grow from there. If ice storms are likely where you live, I have a feeling you're already a little more prepared than most of us, but definitely think through this, get a list together, use this checklist that I provide on the website, and have this conversation with anyone who lives with you so that you are ready for this kind of stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching Nature Connected Life, and I'll see you later.